People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses, women-owned businesses from across the country. My name is Kimberly McLemore and I am your host. And of course, I want you to be comfortable and welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Dr. Essie McKoy. She is an award-winning educator, speaker, author, and a coach. Now, let me just read a little bit about the background of Dr. Essie McKoy before we actually get started with the interview. Dr. McKoy grew up in Milwaukee, North Carolina. Evangelist Essie and father, Reverend John Manley. She was the first to attend college in her immediate family and received 4 degrees. Currently, she is working on her 5th degree, and she believes her most important degree in pastoral ministry. Essie has attended many leadership programs at Harvard University, Howard University, Wake Forest University, North Carolina State University, and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She has 2 beautiful children, Marcus and Shardae. Essie is active in her church, has traveled extensively, and thoroughly enjoys impacting the lives of young people. She has a passion for working with schools and students, especially schools that are highly impacted, and is known for her ability to transform schools. Dr. McKoy has led 2 schools to become Piedmont Signature Schools. Her goal in life is to allow God to align her purpose with her destiny and be able to use all her God-given gifts to make a profound difference in the lives of others. She has almost 30 years of experience in public education, ranging from elementary to high school, where she has served as a teacher, assistant principal, executive director, principal, and school executive, as well as post-secondary education experience, where she served as the adjunct professor at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University and ITT Technical Institute. Dr. McKoy has operated school budgets of more than $3 million and maximized funds to positively impact every aspect of the schools she has transformed. Currently, she is employed at George Mason University, and she is the new author of The Heart of School Transformation. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you all my special guest, Dr. Essie McKoy. How are you, Dr. Essie?
I am doing well, and good evening to you, Kimberly.
All right. Well, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show. It has been at least a year getting you on here, so I'm excited about hearing all the things you've been up to and just learning a little bit more about you. But before we get started, why don't you tell the listeners, like I said, a little bit more about who you are?
As you mentioned in my bio, and thank you so very much for reading my bio, I have been in the field of education for 30 plus years, spent a lot of that time in public education. So 30 years in public education, and decided to continue my journey in higher education. So as you mentioned, I currently work at George Mason University, and it aligns with my business nicely because I do coaching and consulting with educators throughout the DMV, which is a blessing. I get to go into schools, work with educators, and then I get to go right back out of schools and give them some follow-up strategies in order to help them to become successful educators. So I'm not responsible for a school, and that is the best part of all. I started actually, yes, indeed. I started my career at an alternative middle school, and that journey forever impacted my life because I was at a highly impacted school, and students were sent there because they could not make it in a quote unquote regular middle school. Stayed there for about a year, worked as a teacher, and then went to a quote unquote regular middle school. And then that journey continued because I wanted to continue to make an impact. Became an assistant principal, executive director, really going into a district and transforming schools. And we're just so proud of all the growth that we made. You think of schools that are 100% free and reduced lunch, sort of the 90-90-90 model school. We went in there and we were able to become a Piedmont Signature School, the highest growth in the district. So I did a first elementary school, where it became a Piedmont Signature School, and then also a second elementary school. And then right before I got ready to retire, I was actually working in a middle school and had an opportunity to help them to transform. So my journey has been long and lengthy, but I enjoyed what I did, working with highly impacted students and really making a difference in their lives, and really impacting not only students, but educators and the entire school community. At George Mason University, I'm currently there, once again, trying to finish out the semester with some students, getting all those grades into Blackboard and taking care of all that, writing books. I hope to have at least 4 more books released this year. I'm co-authoring with some different leaders and writers. My first book was released last year, September 2018, and that is The Heart of School Transformation, my journey into transforming urban schools. And that has done really well, and I'm looking forward to the next 4 books that will be released this year to do as well.
All right. Well, you have a ton of excellent information. So, but what I want to do is kind of backtrack a little bit. I want to hear more about what inspired you to get into education.
Well, definitely my parents. My parents did not graduate from high school. My father had a 9th grade high school education, and my mother stopped in the 8th grade, and they continuously told me to go to school. And so I did that. And once I got started, I enjoyed learning, and you can tell by the fact that I have 4 degrees, and went to many, many different leadership programs throughout the nation at different colleges and universities. Also, I really enjoyed school when I was in elementary school. And so I would watch my teachers closely, and I would go home and emulate them, playing, school, being a teacher, being an educator, and I never knew the impact of their actions in my journey. So as I reflect back on my career and back on my early childhood, I think about that, how I watched my teachers teach, and then I wanted to be just like them. Also, I had a cousin, Gardenia, who worked in the DC area. She's still here in the DC area, and definitely she was a big...
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
Inspiration, just as a young girl trying to find someone that was a positive role model in addition to my mother. So definitely my cousin, I have to give her credit as well.
Yeah, and that's about having to look at, emulate, and understand that your parents did not have the opportunity to get the education, so you took it 10 steps forward and made them, I'm sure, very proud, and they're still proud to this day about what you have accomplished. So explain to me, though, and explain to the listeners who don't and may not understand what it means to be a child being in an impacted school. Explain how that works.
So being in a highly impacted school simply means that you have students who are at promise. A lot of the research really talks about at-risk students. I do not like to use that terminology because we have a certain connotation. We have a negative perception when we use at risk. So I use at promise. But basically it means that students have so many factors outside of the academic world that are impacting them, and sometimes they can't really focus on school. So it might be emotional issues that they're dealing with. They might have seen trauma. They may have seen something going on in their environment. So you're talking about the emotional components of a child that will really be impacted and impact them in a negative way within the classroom setting. You're talking about psychological implications. Once again, those social skills. Some students don't know how to interact with other students. So you're not just focusing on the academic skills, but you're focusing on the whole child. And in my book, I talk a little bit about that. I talk about whole child, whole educator, whole school approach. You really do have to have those wraparound services in order to impact students who have been highly impacted in a negative way, in order to make sure that they will be at promise students, and it can be done. We did a lot of hard work and definitely had some evidence to prove that it can be done once again.
Right. And you're right. It's like they say, where you come from, it's where you're going to in life, right? And
Exactly.
definitely it takes a village to raise a child, and you have proven that over and over. So can you kind of walk through some of the steps and the processes that you would take when you have a child that is in the impacted school and they come from an environment that is completely negative? Talk just a little bit about the process of getting that child from where they're at to where they need to be.
So the one thing that you want to do, first of all, I always tell leaders to make sure that they do want to go into a school that is highly impacted, because you're not just going to go in there and focus on the academics. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to focus on so many other things: parental involvement, the culture, the day-to-day operation of the school. You're going to look at the programs, the initiatives, the partnerships that you have from the community. You're going to look at money, budgets, and align those in order to get resources. But when it comes down to the child, the most important thing you're going to do, you're going to look at that child's learning needs. Is that child a child who learns with hands-on type of instruction? Is that child a child who needs to get up and move about? So you have teachers who are being developed, and they are learning about the different strategies and techniques so that they can implement those into the classroom. So you have to look at first, what are the needs of the child? The child might have an individualized education plan. The child might have a personalized education plan. You're going to read through those as the educator in that classroom. When you create your lesson plans, you're going to try to encompass all of that into your plan so that you can meet the many different modalities that are within the classroom, meet the needs of the students that are within that classroom. So if it is not only the academics, you're going to also provide services. I had one school where we actually had a health center on campus. Another school where we actually had a based counseling service center on campus. So you have to look at the needs of the kids within that school and then make a decision about the programs and the initiatives and what type of professional development are you going to provide the educator so that you can implement that into the classroom and make a positive impact.
Right. And then what I'm liking about is that there's no one size that fits all.
That is correct. But you also, yes.
No,
but
go ahead.
you also have to, you also have to remember that teachers are just one person. So they are only one person in that classroom, and they might have 25 to 30 students, and they have to try to reach all of the students based on the curriculum that they have to implement, based on the objectives that they have to teach. So they have to look at the whole gamut of the needs of all the kids within the classroom. And then the principal or the leaders within the school, they have to look at what are the needs of the school and then design programs and initiatives in order to align with the needs of the students within that school.
Right. And it makes sense. And I think, like you were talking about, there's so many outside influences that cause these children to be in the situations they're in. So they can't even focus on just them. They're focusing on everything else. So it's great that you came up with programs and ways to transform them so that they can have a plentiful life to look forward to and ahead so they can be successful. So explain to me and our listeners how you have taken everything you've done in 30 years and now you have turned it into Dr. Essie Speaks. You have turned it into this phenomenal business. Explain to us what you provide in your business.
Well, it is the fact that I have a passion for what I do. I always tell my own kids, and I told all the many thousands of kids that I reached throughout my career, to do what you love and love what you do. So I've taken the love of what I'm doing and created my business, Dr. Essie Speaks, and actually started by writing a book. And the book is The Heart of School Transformation. I hope you can see it. I'm putting it right there.
Yeah.
The Heart of School Transformation, my journey into transforming urban schools. So that is just one book that will give you techniques and strategies in order to implement into any school, but especially at promise and highly impacted schools. So that is one component, writing. The other is coaching and collaborating with educators. So I have an opportunity, once again, to go into schools in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area right now, and also work with educators and craft what they need so that they can not only complete their degree, but also they can gain strategies and techniques about how to effectively teach in the classroom. I've had an opportunity to speak on many, many radio shows and share at many different speaking events and engagements. And definitely, I always talk about education. And the best part is I get to talk about what I've lived. So you're talking about from pre-K all the way to college. I've had that experience. I've taken that journey, and I get that opportunity to share my expertise and my skills and things that I know that are proven and effective with others who are trying to make an impact and trying to make a difference in the lives of kids.
Right. And that's the thing that I love. What you've done for all these years, you're able to utilize that to help others continually, even after coming out of being in the education world for 30-something years, you're still gravitating to it. And
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
constantly learning more new things and helping those along the way so that they can be just like you. And that's the beauty about it, right? And it's wonderful. I mean, you got to constantly pat yourself on the back because nobody else is always going to do it for you. But the thing that I love is that, like you said, you have a passion for what you've been doing all these years. And now it's come to fruition that here you have written a book, you're getting ready to co-author 4 other books, and you have your own business. And it's funny, I remember when I met you a little over a year or so ago, and you were right at that point and you're like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm retiring. We were like, what? it's just like, okay, you had that it moment, and that it moment has put you in a place to where it's always great to know that you can be happy at what you're doing, and knowing that your passion can turn into something not just profitable, but also it's helping others move forward in what they want to do that they love. And so I do have other questions though. Tell me though, and we all know we go through this, there's always challenges. There's always something that can push you back, push you sideways, push you forward. How do you handle those challenges, and what have been some of those challenges that you have faced coming out of the education world, even though you're still a part of it, and now that you actually have a business of your own?
So first, before I address that question, I would like to say thank you, Kimberly, so very much, because during this process, when I was writing my first book, you served as my business, and not only business, but my book coach. And so I thank you so very much. And then also I want to say thank you to Dr. Larry White Sr., who served as my business coach, and Greg Brewer, who served as my professional coach. So the collaboration of everybody working together and working on my behalf, and me giving input, it helped me to create the business that I have today. So once again, thank you so very much. But going back to the challenges, I grew up from a very humbling experience. So I was an at-promise student. There were days when I may not have had sufficient food. There were certain garments, maybe a coat that I didn't have. So I remember those challenges as a child, and I turned that into being a leader who would provide wraparound services for kids to make sure that they did not go without. If kids walked into the school and they needed a coat, we made sure that we had an organization providing that for them. So I sort of look back at all my challenges, and I use those challenges in a positive way to provide services for students that I served throughout my 30 years. Also, some people perhaps didn't believe that I would go to college, with parents who, once again, father, 9th grade education, mother, 8th grade education. And then I was able to acquire 4 degrees. And so definitely that was a challenge initially, because there were so many people who thought perhaps I would not go to college. And thank God, look at me now, what he has done. It's not anything that I have done on my own, but it's the people, the role model, the positive influences I've had, and God guiding me every step of the way. So those are some things that I can definitely attest to. Also transforming schools. I went into 3 schools, very challenging schools, inner city schools, urban schools, 100% free and reduced lunch, Title I, priority schools, at promise schools where most leaders did not want to go. So I went into the schools where people did not want to go. And God blessed me with the abilities and skills to help the team of people that were there so that we could transform that school. And lo and behold, we were able to become a Piedmont Signature School, once again in 2 elementary schools. And people would constantly ask, how did you do that? And all I can say, it was just God's grace and mercy, and him taking my hands and my brain and making that happen. So those are just a few of the challenges that I can think of right away.
Well, I tell you what, those were a lot of challenges, but like you said, the success that you have gained throughout the years, and with God's continued guidance, and like I said, your village of people around you to help you get to where you're at today. And you're very welcome for the little bit that I did. It was my pleasure. I really enjoy coaching people to take what they have in their lives and rewriting their stories and making them come true. So, you have been, you were phenomenal. It was easy to work with because you pretty much already knew what you wanted to do. So that makes things so much easier. But, I just love your story. And, a lot of people don't ever understand that when they see the shell of us, they think that everything and every part of our life has been perfect. So I always love having these opportunities for all to women come on here and tell their stories and make people understand that this is where we came from. And no matter where we came from, it doesn't matter how many challenges we have, you can still make it. And you are a proven factor of that. And the love that you have for yourself and these children, I'm sure that they absolutely have to miss you, not being a part of the educational system every day, those young kids, because they always need to have somebody they can look up to. And of course, our children always love to be able to see everyone who looks like us. I think that's so important that we still have that factor as a part of making sure that our kids can see that we can be successful and be whomever we want to be. So, I congratulate you on all the things you have accomplished. So tell us what you are continuing to work on. Now, I know you talked about a little bit about the 4 books. Briefly kind of go quickly through the books that you're co-authoring on and they're going to be coming out this year.
So once again, I do want to mention the Heart of School Transformation that is already on my website, and you can go to Amazon and purchase that. So definitely it gives you information about how to truly transform a school, not from psychological or physiological or psychology-based theories, but this is actual evidence-based things that I've gone through and most principals will go through. So that is how you go about transforming a school. The other one is about coaching champions, and that should be coming out soon. Just how do you coach people? So I was a co-author in that. Thank you to Dr. Tashika Green and all the many authors throughout the country for collaborating with us. And I'm looking forward to the completion of that and the release of that. Also, I am an AKA, so I'm in a sorority, and I was a part of a co-authoring project with that. And I'm really talking about sisterhood. So I'll wait until the book comes out so that you all can really read and find all about the AKA and the coaching champions. Also, I am probably going to be a part of HBCU experience. I had an opportunity to go to Winston-Salem State University, an HBCU. So I'm going to talk about my journey and about my experience. So I'm looking forward to that. And then an inspirational quote book. I do have another educational leadership book, but that's a little bit more comprehensive and it will take a little bit more time. So that'll be released a little bit later. So in addition to the books, I do every 4th Sunday of the month, we have an educational show in Maryland with Dr. Sharon Porter. So I have an opportunity to co-host that. I'm working at George Mason University, coaching and collaborating and working with educators. I'm serving as the DMV co-chairwoman and also the director of education. So quite a few things that are still going on. I'm excited about it all because guess what? It is all about education. The love that I've demonstrated for the past 30 years, and I'm able to convey that in many different avenues, whether it's writing a book, doing speaking engagements, going to different events, or whether I'm on the education show or I'm just sharing on radio shows and podcasts. So definitely I continue that journey.
Yeah, and like I said, you're doing a phenomenal job. So we're all excited about everything you got coming out, and I'm looking forward to catching some of those books, and everybody you collaborate with are all wonderful women. I know them all very well, so I'm excited about, like I said, seeing all this come out. So talk just a little bit about if there's somebody who was to walk up to you today and said, hey, I want to come into business. It doesn't matter whether it's education or something else. What good advice would you give them?
So I would say just get started. Don't hesitate. Sometimes you have to take time to really reflect and think about who you are as a person and what you want to accomplish. And then think about all the previous successes that you've had, build upon that. And that's exactly what I did. So don't hesitate. Go ahead and get started. You can start small and grow. Sometimes it's amazing the different people you connect to, the different places it will take you. I have connected to people all across the world and other countries. It is simply amazing, and I'm nothing but grateful and just blessed to have the opportunities to really speak with people in far places and do many different things as I shared before. So my advice is to get started no matter what. Do not hesitate, do not doubt yourself, but get started, and don't let your thoughts deter you from not creating that business or whatever it is, whatever dreams or goals that you might have. Just go after them, and go after them with everything that you have within you.
Exactly. That's great. Excellent. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you so that they can reach out and get some of your business services or either purchase your books.
All right. And so definitely you can go to my website, www.dressiespeaks.com. Also, I am on all the social media platforms at E. McKoy on Twitter, LinkedIn, Dr. Essie McKoy, Facebook, author Dr. Essie McKoy, Instagram, 2 pages at E. McKoy 2018, and then E.M. McKoy. So definitely you can keep up with the many different things that I am doing on the different social media platforms. Keep up with all the wonderful books that are coming out, because I guarantee you they will make an impact in your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to be an educator. You can be in many different areas, many different professions, a community leader, or just a citizen, and you can still gain knowledge and use that knowledge to make an impact. So please continue to check me out on all those social media platforms.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on my show. Any last words for our listeners?
I just want to say once again, thank you, Kimberly. You are just phenomenal in what you do. Thank you to all of the listeners out there. Thank you for following me. Thank you for purchasing my book. Thank you for asking me to come and speak and be engaged in many different ways. Once again, go after what you desire and you will not be disappointed if you live in your passion and you love what you do and you do what you love. So thank you once again.
You are very welcome. Like I said, it's my pleasure. For those who are watching and listening, if you would like to reach out to Dr. Essie McKoy, you can go to www.dressiespeaks.com. I'm guarantee you will not be disappointed. Like I said, this is a wonderful woman. I've enjoyed knowing her for the little over a year that we've had time to spend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon when I can get back into town. You can get back into town as well. So again, thank you for coming on tonight's show. It has been a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you. All right, for everyone else, for the rest of the show, like I said, we just got done talking with Dr. Essie McKoy. She is a wonderful person. Please go out and purchase her book. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. It's called The Heart of School Transformation. After 30 years of experience and then continuing to love what she does, you won't go wrong. And so what I would like to do before I end the show this evening is I would like to quickly go over a couple of things. And of course, my big thing is that if you would like to be a guest on the show, you are more than welcome to just send me a short bio, a pic, and a logo. And you need to send that information to Kimberly at WSBILC.com. Again, send a short bio, a pic, and a logo if you'd like to be a guest for this year in 2019 on my show. The months are going by pretty quickly. The show is getting pretty packed. So please don't hesitate if you would like to be a guest on the show. And you can come on and talk to us about what you have experienced and what's going on in your life and what's going on with your business. The other thing I'd like to quickly share with you all is the fact that I do have an awesome campaign out right now on my new ebook release called Are You Living or Existing? The Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. You can get that today available on Amazon for $3.99. It is a new ebook release. This book will be available at that price until the end of May. I'm trying to reach that number bestseller for Amazon. So, hey, help me reach the goal. I would really appreciate it. And again, it's called Are You Living or Existing? The Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. And the other wonderful thing I've got going on here soon is that I'm collaborating with some other amazing ladies. I'm going back to Easton, Pennsylvania to do another self-publishing workshop. And it's really going to be on the theme of Are You Living or Existing? And I'm going to be working with Christy Joy Met, Miss Wandra Kane, and Miss Michelle Dofiger. These ladies are phenomenal. We're going to have not just a self-publishing workshop, but we're also going to be doing an amazing brunch and a networking brunch as well. So come up and meet some other great entrepreneurs and also learn how to rewrite your story and make it what you want to be during the self-publishing workshop. So that's all I have for this evening. I really have had a great time. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. Coming into a new month, and that means I have a lot of new guests coming up for the month of May. Keep your eyes out. And if you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to reach me at Kimberly at WSBILC.com. But until next time, have yourself a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.